it is done. Motor City Strongest Man 2018, we did it. So this is going to be the commentary video where I'm going to go over a lot of behind the scenes stuff and how I felt the contest went. So if you just want to watch the contest, go check out the video on my channel. It's just the 5 events, no talking, nothing, just getting it out there so you can see how I did. So this contest, really no prep for it. We did not train specifically for it. You know, we signed up for this kind of on a whim. February, I just hired my new coach, and I saw this contest the same day that I was working on that. So I talked to him. I said, hey, should I do this for fun? He said, yeah, go for it. We can see where you're at and stuff. So we didn't really do anything specific for this contest. A month is not enough time to prepare for any contest with any sort of success. I didn't have most of the implements, and Tony did let me borrow an axle and a circus dumbbell, which was really nice. But I can tell you that circus dumbbell was nothing like the one in the contest. So it was just to go in there and see where we're at. So I really regret taking the month of December off. I can tell you that my strength levels were not where they would normally be going into a contest, and I was very aware of that the contest day. And the months leading up to that, we had kind of, after the August competition, went into a low weight volume phase to try and address some weak points and fix some injuries. So I'm glad we did that. I'm feeling a lot better. Nothing's really hurt right now, but my strength wasn't where it needed to be. So a couple of things about this contest, the day of contest, that sucked. I didn't realize it was on a Sunday. So normally they're on Saturday, and you get that Sunday to be sore and recover and not have to go to work if you don't work weekends like I don't. But I had to go to work today, which sucked because I'm sore. I've not been this sore since I tore my rotator cuff, and that was like isolated pain, you know, just right there. My whole body is wrecked. Like, apparently I do have biceps because they hurt. Like, just hurts. And check out these bruises. I don't know how well you can see them. But right here, it actually kind of sticks out a little bit. It's a little egg on each side. Made it really interesting to try and type at work because normally my forearms are flat on the desk as I'm typing, but that was right on the bruise, which kind of, if I wanted to type, it lifted my elbows up. And then if I pulled back, it was kind of like a little teeter-totter. Walking upstairs, nothing was fun today. But that kind of sucked. And then, for the first time ever, they wanted us to actually weigh in for heavyweight novice. That's an unusual thing. Generally, I just kind of walk in and they're like, you fat? I'm like, yeah, I'm fat, and we're good. So he said I had to be there between 8:30 or 8 and 8:30. And this contest is 2 hours away, which meant I had to leave my house by 6. However, another thing I didn't know, it's daylight savings time where we lose an hour. And nobody likes that. I don't know who thought this was a good idea to ever lose an hour. Give me extra hours. Let's just do that periodically through the year. That sounds good to me. But that meant I'm waking up, or I have to leave at the equivalent of 5 a.m., which means I have to wake up at the equivalent of 4:30 a.m., which means the day before I had to try and go to bed like 8:30. So we went to the Golden Corral, all-you-can-eat buffet, got some ice cream because Kevin kept talking about it. And, I mean, it wasn't exactly the type of ice cream I wanted, but it was ice cream. And some chicken and stuff loaded up. And the morning of the contest, I weighed in at home. I weighed in at 262. That is the lightest I've ever been for a contest. Last year's contest, I weighed in at 268, I believe, the morning of. So this is the lightest I've ever been for a contest, which is kind of cool, but I'm still way fatter than I need to be competitive at all. But when I got to the show in the morning, I finally managed to scarf down a donut. Glenn was over here. He ate a bunch of eggs that I was supposed to eat, but I couldn't eat because my belly wasn't awake. Then we stopped by. I grabbed one donut to hope I could maybe eat something. He scarfed down 2 donuts and a coffee, and he's just snacking on stuff. I'm like, it is way too early for anybody to be eating anything. And I just walked in. I had my coat on, my long pants, my hat, all my stuff, and just stepped on the scale. So my actual weigh-in at the competition was 272, wearing all of that stuff because I didn't care. And contest started. Now, this was really interesting how they did this. They had over 100 people sign up just to compete in the strongman, and they had a powerlifting meet going on right next to us, which was kind of cool. You could kind of look over and see that. But because there were over 100 people, at one point they said 108, then it was 115, then they announced 117. I don't know how many people there were there. There were 15 people, novice heavyweight. But because of that, there was not very much time to warm up. They had all of the events already set up, and they were running flights. So some of them, they had 3 set up at a time, and a lot of them were 4. So you had to know where you were. And when we went to the circus dumbbell, they were like, you have 5 minutes to warm up. So I'm rushing out there, trying to get the circus dumbbell, and empty, it was 90 pounds. This thing felt terrible. I don't know what it was. It was slipping in my hand. It was rolling on my shoulder. I couldn't get it up. Finally I pressed it once, and then I tried my left, and I got one. And that was only 90 pounds. So now my confidence is shaking. I'm like, oh. So they said 1 minute left. I went and I chalked up, put some chalk on my shoulder, and I tried it, but they had upped the weight to 110. I got 110 with my right, didn't even try it with my left. We were running out of time. So when it came time to the event, first clean went pretty well. I finally got a spot. Now this bruise is caused mostly by the circus dumbbell. That thing had a very sharp edge. I should have listened to my coach. He made a video saying he puts a wrist wrap here and a wrist wrap here, which would have helped alleviate this some. But I put the wrist wrap on my left just in case I might be able to press it with my left arm once. And I got one, and I was so happy about that. And I was like, you know what? I got another one. But so I set it down, I got it back up, and the first one, as I went to press, I felt it rotate. So I just kind of bailed on it, got it back down, went up again. As I got it up, my hand rotated a little bit, and it hit me in the ear, and I kind of went down. Now this is where the really bad thing that messed with me the whole rest of the day happened. When I hit the pad, it bounced and slammed into the side of my left foot, which is not the ankle that I rolled 2 weeks ago, which still really, really hurt. So I had ankle braces on and everything, just slammed into my foot. So now you might be able to see in the video, at this point, I am really not focused on the lift anymore. All I'm thinking about is my foot. Did I break something? You know, is this going to mess me up? Oh no, this contest was supposed to be for fun. Am I going to need surgery? Am I going to need a couple of weeks off? You know, that's all going through my head, and I tried a couple times, nothing happened. So, went back to the seat. My foot is just throbbing at this point. I take off my shoe, I look at it, it's already bruised. You can see very clearly where it hit, and Glenn's talking about, oh man, that looks so terrible. So I just put my sock back on. I was wearing an ankle brace on that foot as well, just because I wanted to have the same height in my shoe. I don't like wearing only one ankle brace because it kind of throws me off. So I wrapped it more over the foot to try and keep it compressed so it wouldn't swell up too bad, and tighten my shoe really hard on it. But at this point, the whole day, like, I can feel my blood pumping in it. So next was the sandbags, and this is something we didn't train for at all, and I was really worried about it on the cardio aspect. So I got to pick up the bag a couple of times, but when I picked it up, I managed to pick it up like this. This is kind of how I want to do it, kind of how I load a keg. Well, I don't know what happened, but when I actually picked it up, like, my arms couldn't quite get around it that way, so I ended up carrying it like this. So instead of being like this like I wanted, I was like this, which made loading interesting. So I ran to the thing, got the first one on there, that was no problem. Got the second one. Now I was going kind of slow. I had watched 6 or 7 people fall. This floor was very slippery, and I didn't want to fall. My foot's already messed up. I already rolled an ankle, so I was going kind of slow. And the second one, I went to load it. I had the height and everything, but I was on the corner, and the corner's sharp. The sandbag hit the corner as I went up, which dragged it, and so I got kind of part of it on and part of it off, which meant it fell. And I caught it, but then I had to load it, and I kind of still got the corner caught on the bag, so I had to push it up there, which cost me a little bit of time. And when you're fat and out of shape, it also means you had to breathe longer. So if I would have loaded that successfully on the first try, I would have actually ended up a couple of places higher. Ran back, went to get the third one. I started picking it up, I got it off the ground, and then my hand slipped. And that right there, pretty much sealed the deal that I wasn't going to get to load it. But I tried it again. Then I picked it up. I was like, I'm going to try and pick it up this other way. Went to grab it, and then the announcer said 5 seconds. And I kind of just, whatever. Because in this event, unlike some other ones, you didn't get any credit at all for moving it any distance. It only counted the time that you loaded it. And in 5 seconds, there was no way I was going to pick up a sandbag, walk 20 feet, and load it on the platform. So I just called it there. I was a little bit disappointed, but I knew that event was up to cardio. I was not up to snuff at all. So third event was the farmer's hold, and this was 285 pounds a hand. Now we got to warm up just a little bit on this. Those farmer's handles were slippery. Every competitor was talking about, man, that's hard, super hard to hold on to. You know, some people were saying too much chalk hurt. Some people were saying no chalk was terrible. So I kind of went middle. I split it. I put some chalk on and wiped it off a little bit. But the pick felt good. I picked up 285 and I was holding it. Now here's the problem. 3 seconds in, it slipped in my hand. And I'll try to show you here. Basically, I caught it, my thumb on my fingernail. And it was just all in my fingertips. And that's what I was doing after 3 seconds. You can see my head just get super red. They're yelling at me and I'm like, I can't lose this. All I wanted to do was not be last in this event. And I got it for 20.91 seconds, which is a personal record for me, which I'll take. And I didn't say that, but the circus dumbbell for 1 rep was a personal record. And technically, I guess the sandbag was also a personal record because I've never done anything over 175 on the sandbag. So, I mean, it's not really... It's a PR because I hadn't done it before. This was a PR for time, for sure. So what my coach had me do to work on my grip in just the 2 or 3 weeks leading up to this helped tremendously. So I'm looking forward to keep working on that and getting better because my grip is definitely a weak point. But that was a pretty good event, and I was feeling pretty good about myself at this point. Went into the log. Now, I did not get to warm up with the log. I got to push an axle a little bit, and I tried to get the log, and they were changing weights and everything. So I did get to press on the smaller log once, and it felt all right. But they were like, you have 30 seconds. So I just did it really quick so the next guy could go because I didn't want to have what happened to me happen to somebody else. I don't know if my log is not the right size or if this thing was off balance or what. I have never had a log feel that terrible before. Okay, now maybe it was my foot, maybe it was my ankle, maybe it was the contact, I don't know. But oh my goodness, this felt terrible. My first rep, I kind of hit it and then I felt it shift and it brought my arms down and I had to push it back out. Which, I mean, I guess good thing that I have enough tricep strength to finish that, but that was just messy. And then every single rep, it just was just taking me for a ride. When I was cleaning it, it was taking me back. When I was pressing it, it was taking me forward. The spotters are all running around, looking at me, trying to make sure I don't fall. We did have a guy that did fall, and a couple of people just were not having a good time with this. It just felt horrible. But I got 4 reps. And that's a rep PR. I've never done 210 for 4 reps, so that was nice. But on the 5th clean, it slipped on me, so I threw it back down, and I stepped back to kind of recompose myself, because I thought she said I had 15 seconds left. But then the announcer said 10, and I was like, okay. So I grabbed it, and I went up to my lap, but as soon as I got it to my lap, they said 5. And I'm like, oh, shoot. So I got the clean, I got it up, and then they said 3. And I couldn't breathe, and I went to dip, and they said 2, and because I was rushing it, it went down, and so it was over. There was no way I was going to get 5 reps. I would have liked to get 5, but 4 is a PR. Now, the deadlift started. And this is where so many people going through the day kind of really messed it up. I went to warm up in the axle, and I had to stand in line. And I got to pull on the axle, but it was only 220. So there wasn't really much of a warm-up. And then I stood in line to try and pull the frame. By the time I got up to the frame, they already had it at contest weight, which was 540. And I thought to myself, man, should I should I do it or not? So I tried pulling it with no straps just to see how it felt, and my grip was done. So I put straps on. So I'm glad I at least got to pull on that to know, put the straps on when you go. But then the 18-inch, I haven't pulled 18 inches in maybe ever. So I have no idea how to set for it. I really wanted to get a couple warm-ups in. So I was standing in line for it, and they said, no, this one's loaded to 550, right when I got up to it. So this has already been like 2 or 3 minutes standing in line. Shoot. So I went into the other line. That one was set up at 400. And Glenn got to it. He was right in front of me. He strapped in, and they said, athlete's off. So he kind of pulled on it, didn't move it, and I didn't get to pull on it. I didn't get to touch the implement at all. So now I was really nervous. And I haven't talked about this yet, but throughout the whole day, this is the only thing bad about the contest. So they were getting all these competitors through fast. They were doing it really professionally. They were keeping track of everything really good. The helpers were awesome. They were setting up everything. But they did not call names. Because there were so many flights, you were expected to know who you were after. So events 1 through 4, you were supposed to go in order. Well, I didn't know who they said was in front of me. Glenn got lucky because they said he was behind me. So he just had to follow me. But I had no idea who I was supposed to follow. And the judge and his helper, they weren't calling names. Like, if you didn't know, you were going to zero. And it just messed with me so much. And I think that took a lot out of me mentally. I was so stressed out about, who am I behind? I don't know. And unfortunately, the circus dumbbell, I was so worried about that, I didn't pay attention to who went in front of me. So on the second event, the same thing happened. But at least on the second event, I figured out who I was behind. So the third and fourth event weren't too bad because I knew who I was behind. The deadlift, they decided, we're going to switch the order. So it's based on points. I didn't know where I went. So Glenn and I walked up there. We're like trying to get through this crowd. And we got up there. We watched one guy go. And then they said, Glenn. I'm like, Glenn? And I say, yeah, Glenn. I'm like, dude, Glenn, you're up. And then they were like, he's not here. And Glenn's like, wait, who'd you call? And they're like, Glenn. So he got in, which flustered him up quite a bit. And he went, but then I didn't know when I was supposed to go. So I tried to go over to the ref, and then I didn't realize they were starting. So I got pushed off to the side. And then I went up there, and they're like, you're going 6th. But then they said, Christian on deck. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then I got in, strap in after the guy, and they're like, no, it's my turn. I'm like, they said I was on deck. And they're like, no, I'm up. And so then apparently I was on deck twice. I don't know. So I finally went. That axle pull, that was ugly. I rushed it. I did not set up properly. It was the ugliest deadlift I have had in a very long time. Looked like almost I was trying to pull a max. It wasn't heavy. It's just I rushed it and I didn't set up properly. Don't do that on the deadlifts. It's a bad idea. Then I got on the frame, strapped in. Frame felt pretty good. I really wish it would have been that for reps, because that I could have done. I could have reffed that out quite a few times. But then I got to the 18-inch, and this is where not pulling from 18-inch killed me. I don't know how to set up. And it doesn't look like I tried here. I mean, you can see it just looks like I'm kind of like tugging on it a little bit. I have never pulled so hard in my entire life. So the first couple pulls, I was just kind of pulling on it and like readjusting my feet, trying to figure out what to do. Didn't feel good. So I stepped away from the bar. I heard them say 20 seconds, and I said, okay, this is it. So I psyched myself up. I stepped in there. I set as good as I can, and I pulled. Now, on the video, it looks like maybe I pulled for 2 seconds. It felt like a lifetime. I pulled so hard, I could feel my back straining, and it actually felt like something in my gut was going to explode. So I stopped. It didn't budge. It didn't move at all. I have never had something like that happen. Like, I've had a lot of deadlifts where you kind of pull, it breaks the floor, and you lose it at your knees. I would have been okay with that. I didn't move it. And right after that, my lower back instantly sore. So I can tell you I tried very hard, so that was very frustrating to me. I didn't care so much about not finishing the sandbag. Not finishing the deadlift medley is a big blow. I really wanted to finish the deadlift medley. And so I did finish 10th out of 15, which I didn't care how I placed, But if I could have pulled my act together a little bit on a couple of things, I would have at least moved up a couple of places. So definitely have a lot to work on. Can say that my pressing is nowhere near where it needs to be. That's definitely a weak point. I'm going to have to go measure my log because when I ordered it, it was supposed to be a 12-inch log. But my wife said after looking at the video, that log in the competition looked a little bit bigger. So I got to see what's going on with my log. And definitely going to have to get my deadlift strength going back up because this contest coming up in August, I don't know what the events are yet, but deadlift is always important. Deadlift's one of the major lifts in strongman, and mine is nowhere near where it needs to be. So overall, you know, I had fun, minus the anxiousness of not knowing where I was going. That really took a toll on me, and I don't do very well with stress, apparently. And I felt like I couldn't breathe a lot. Once we got calmed down and everything, that was good. But Tony came out and he brought his daughter, and I was kind of playing with her. She was really shy, and I kept teasing her about snacks because she said she was going to bring a lot of snacks, and she wouldn't give me any of them. Not even a little bit. And I really appreciate Tony coming out there, or else you guys wouldn't have seen any of this competition because I had no one to record it, and because Glenn was going right after me, he couldn't record me or vice versa. So big thanks to Tony for coming out. Big thanks to everybody that helped run the show. It was a really awesome time. And hopefully someday I'll get one of those cool swords because everybody that won got a awesome sword. Someday. I can dream. I'll probably just have to buy a sword if I want one. But that is it. Thank you all for watching. As always, go lift something heavy.